Great news, contemporary math students! We have arrived at the last chapter that we'll study for this class. In Chapter 12, we will study statistics. Now, in our world, we are constantly inundated with lots of information, data, graphs, charts, public opinion polls, research articles. If we properly understand statistics, then we will be better able to sort through the accuracy of the information that is presented to us. In 12.1, we will learn about sampling, frequency distributions, and graphs, and we'll begin with population and samples. Now, a population is a set of all objects under study. Notice it is a set. It is our frame of reference. So this is like the universal set that we studied in Chapter 2. And a sample is a smaller, manageable subset of the population. The following Venn diagram illustrates this relationship. So if we take all of our potential objects under study, for example, the entire American population, all American citizens, we can allow that to be our universal set or our frame of reference. If I want to find something out about the American population, it's probably not likely that I'm going to be able to interview every single American citizen. Instead, I would take a subset or a sample of that population, such as a poll of 10,000 people, and I would find out information from that smaller sample. Now, if it is a good sample, random and representative, then I can extrapolate information about the entire American population. Based on the behavior of the people in the sample, that can be a measure for the behavior of the entire population. For example, suppose that a city government wants to conduct a survey among the city's homeless to discover their opinions about required residence in city shelters from midnight until 6 a.m. Let's begin by identifying the population. So the opinions that are being sought here are opinions of the city's homeless about a law proposing required residence in city shelters from midnight until 6 a.m. So the population under study here is the city's homeless people. That is our frame of reference. Now, let's suppose that a city commissioner suggests obtaining a sample by surveying all the homeless people at the city's largest shelter on a Sunday night. So this city commissioner pops up and he says, I know how we can find some homeless people. Let's go to the biggest shelter and let's do it on a Sunday evening when it is really crowded and populated. Does this seem like a good idea? Well, if we go to the people that are already in a shelter on a Sunday evening, they might be more likely to support the law that would require residents in a city shelter because they are already there by their own free will. However, what about the homeless population who might not favor such a proposed law? They are not represented in this sample. So this is probably not a good idea if we want to get an accurate measure of the public opinion about this proposal. So this is not a good idea because the homeless people not in a shelter are not represented. Note, a good sample should be a random sample. That is, all elements of the population should have an equal chance of being represented in the sample. So, example 2, describe how to appropriately select a random sample from example 1. In example 1, the city commissioner's idea concentrated the people of the sample at one specific location, but we want to give all of the homeless people an equal chance of being represented in the sample. So it's probably a better idea to randomly select various neighborhoods throughout the city and interview homeless people in and out of shelters. Remember, the population is the homeless people, so we're not going to be talking to people who are not homeless. But we want to make sure that our sample adequately represents the entire city and adequately represents the people that are favorable to shelters and those that are opposed to such a law. So a sample should be random, but a random sample that adequately represents the population is called a representative sample. A random and representative sample builds the foundation for accurate conclusions about the population.